All right, everybody, back with another one, and we're going to take a look at a couple of interesting things today, coming out of Doge and Elon Musk, and also some tech innovations. So this is quite interesting. This seems to be a not only technological advancement, but apparently a scientific advancement as well. This is somebody who apparently works at Microsoft, Satya Nadella. Not really sure how to pronounce his name. A couple of reflections on the quantum computing breakthrough we just announced. Most of us grew up learning that there are three main types of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. Today, that changed. After nearly 20-year pursuit, we've created an entirely new state of matter unlocked by a new class of materials, topoconductors, that enable a fundamental leap in computing. So apparently, we're no longer living in a world where there's just solid, liquid, and gas. Although they've never really, I don't know if they've actually added this to the science textbooks in school for children, growing up. We actually, always knew three forms, which was solid, liquid, and gas. But at some point, um, I thought that gel had broken off into its own category because gel is not really something that's like a gel substance. It's not really a liquid, but it's not really a solid, right? Liquids are something that flow freely and take the shape of the container that they're in, okay? Whatever that may be. Um, Solids are, you know, formed tightly, shaped the way that they are, can be manipulated, but they have their own shape, right? Um, Gel is something that is solid consistency, meaning that you can hold it in your hand without it spilling off like water, but you can put it in the container and it will take the shape of a container, right? So I don't really know if at any point that had ever broken off into its own, uh, you know, type of matter, so to speak, or whatever. But on top of that, I believe some time ago, and I think a company named Aerogel might have figured this out, but there might have been people who have done this before, where they figured out you could actually remove the liquid from gel and be left with a solid material that uh, is strong, um, sometimes can be heat resistant, work as excellent insulation. Obviously very expensive to do, so I don't think that's probably why it's not used today in building materials. But it, I think it is something that is can be considered its own form of matter. If not, you could probably put it with a solid in that category. But gel or gel that can be isolated from the liquid uh, should be its own category at this point. So we really should have always had four types of matter. Just because of the breakdown I gave there, where gel or things that are gel consistency are not really solids, but they're not really liquids. They're sort of an in between. So I would have always kind of considered there to be four types of matter just from that alone. But apparently now we have a new one. Uh, Topoconductor. Um, Enables a leap in computing. So obviously they're working with quantum computers. They're trying to um, push the AI revolution forward. And in order to do that, you need computers that are able to compute data and information quicker. I think that's probably what's holding up AI from, progressing at rapid rates. Because I think the idea behind AI is self-learning, that the computers will, continue to teach themselves and make corrections and mistakes as they go, whatever, evolve, right? Um, but the processing power of the computer that has the AI in it um, is probably not quick enough or strong enough to be able to keep up with the learning curve of the AI itself. So I think that's kind of what is holding back AI from, revolutionizing at a quicker rate is the supercomputers are not up to par. And it looks like they might have just made a massive breakthrough in that. So I don't know. This is a very new thing. Apparently, this was just posted on, I think today or yesterday or something. But Let me see the dates down here. February 19th, 2025. That's today. Okay. So this was actually just posted today. This could be a revolution in computing that maybe changes the game. Who knows what this brings about? Maybe AI will supercharge now and start really evolving into that Terminator-like iRobot future that we're all fearing. Who knows? But this is what we're looking at. Majorana 1 is the first quantum processing unit built on a topological core. So, these are all things that they're probably going to start explaining to the public of, what they are and how they work. But we believe this breakthrough will allow us to create a truly meaningful quantum computer, not in decades, as some have predicted, but in years. The qubits created with topo conductors are faster, more reliable, and smaller. They are 1/100th of a millimeter, meaning we now have a clear path to a 1,000,000 qubit processor. If you're a tech person and you're into this type of stuff, that probably really interests you. But for the average person, I guess the breakdown is it would just make the computers compute faster, and that's really what it comes down to. Imagine a chip that can fit in the palm of your hand, yet is capable of solving problems that even all the computers on Earth today combined could not. It's interesting. I'm curious to see what this does for technology going forward. Will this change the type of, phones, the iPhones? Will this change the laptops and computers that we use? Even going further with like technology, space technology, cars. A lot of cars today have computer chips in them. Will this change the way that all of those technological devices operate? I imagine so. Obviously, they're looking at this for AI specifically, but if this chip is that good, it might change the game for many different industries that are involved with it. Sometimes some researchers have to work on things for decades to make progress possible. It takes patience and persistence to have big impact in the world, and I'm glad we get the opportunity to do that at Microsoft. This is our focus. When productivity rises, economies grow faster, benefiting every sector in every corner of the globe. It's not about hyping tech. It's about building technology that truly serves the world. And that's the chip. Majorana 1. Interesting. Sounds very techy and like something from a space sci-fi movie. All right, so this is breaking news today from somebody who is with Microsoft. He is the CEO of Microsoft. I didn't know that. I don't really keep up too much on Microsoft, so I don't know who the current executives are. But he's the CEO of Microsoft. Breaking news on that. So now we're going to take a look at a video from Fox News with Rand Paul, talking about how they're going to check the gold reserves at Fort Knox. Now, if you don't know this whole situation, to my knowledge, and especially if you don't know, history over the last, 20 or, 20 years or 2 decades plus or so, Ron Paul was one of the greatest congressmen that this nation ever had. And for years, he tried to push Congress to audit the Fed, to repeal some of the unconstitutional laws in this country, to, restore our money back to being backed by gold and silver, which is in the Constitution, stating that that is the only forms of money that are allowed to be legal tender, and many other things. And he'd been talking about all of this for a long time. No one did anything. And, honestly, I could say, I don't think a lot of people maybe connected these dots unless you're a little bit older and lived through this, but Ron Paul is definitely the reason that a guy like Donald Trump was able to get elected, even in 2016. Because up until as close as, to Trump's first election in 2016, Ron Paul was running for president again, I think for the third time in 2012. So he was fresh off that. And he really made a big movement for restoring the Constitution as the law of the land, bringing people, information that maybe they didn't know, enlightening them on many things that we had been in the dark about for so long. and not to mention allowing us to take a peek behind the curtain in government and see what's really going on. He was a really honest, noble person who was like a true statesman. He went in there with the intention to, clean up the government, expose the fraud, and, hopefully help restore things, especially some of the power back to the people. Um, and he fought hard, but he was by himself. No one really stood with him. There was a few people along the way for sure that definitely were like Ron Paul, but at his time, he was fighting against the swamp by himself. So many will say that he didn't really make a lot of progress. I think he even said that himself in his farewell address. But he did the best he could. He got the ball rolling, though. If it wasn't for him, I guarantee you, you would not have seen a Donald Trump get elected in 2016. Now, you can't really prove that, but just from watching this my whole adult life, I can honestly say I think he was a huge part of, you know, Americans waking up to the truth of what was going on in their government. And now we're actually seeing that today by Doge exposing a lot of this stuff. This was a long time coming. This was not like a quick thing, that I think some people think Trump got in, he brought all his people in, and now they're just tearing things up. No, this was a long time coming. This was a long time coming from back when, people were trying to encourage Ron Paul to run, I think in the late 80s, 1988. They were even trying to encourage Donald Trump run around that same time. So there were a lot of things going on that was building up to this point. But now we fast forward to Doge. And I believe Ron Paul today, who I think he's in his 90s. I think he's in his early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. He is an advisor for Doge. So he's actually working and advising Elon Musk on some of the things that he should be looking at in government. Obviously, from his years in government, peeking behind the curtain and seeing what's going on, he is really probably the I don't want to say brains behind the operation, but he's definitely the mentor to Elon Musk in many areas, because he knows where the bodies are buried. He knows where to look. And, we're obviously seeing that prophecy fulfilled, because, like I said, many years ago, he tried to get them to audit the Fed and do all these things with the money and the gold. And, he tried to educate people for a long time. And no one would do anything about it because the movement just wasn't there yet. The American people weren't as awake as they are today. But I think we're seeing a lot of this come full circle because it's finally happening. And now his son, Rand Paul, who I don't know if people don't know that, but Rand Paul's Ron Paul's son, he is calling for Elon Musk to check Fort Knox to see if the gold supply is still there. Now, this is going to tell us a lot about our money. This is going to tell us a lot about our financial stability as a country, because a lot of people were just going on the idea that America had all this gold to back them up and bail them out in case something happened. But for a long time, we've seen politicians do stupid things with our money, like quantitative easing, printing the money constantly. And then even, Trump is kind of guilty of this too, although I understand he had to do what he felt was best at that time and thought he could roll it back, which if he didn't get in again a second time, he might not have. But he even was responsible for printing money with the COVID money that they gave everybody for relief for shutting down the country and people not being able to work. It wasn't a lot. It was probably just enough to buy many people a week worth of groceries and things like that. But what our government did with our money for a long time was really cripple it, destroy it, devalue it to the point where not only is it not backed by gold and silver anymore, which inherently gives it true value, it's backed by nothing. It's backed by our word that we can just keep printing money because we are the world superpower, and everything is tied to the dollar. The dollar is the world's reserve currency. That's why I think there's a lot of people in the crypto world that are trying to push for Bitcoin to become the world's reserve currency, because they feel that it's a lot more of a controllable thing. I still think it's unconstitutional because gold and silver are the only things that are supposed to be money in this country. Legal tender, meaning you can legally use it to buy and sell stuff. Now we're living in a future digital world where we have all this stuff. So maybe that is an outdated form of technology. Maybe people shouldn't really be paying with gold and silver bars everywhere they go. I understand that. But that is why at one point America was printing silver notes. They would print money that had silver, actual silver, laced into the dollar bills as a backing that the dollar, the bill that you were holding wasn't just a piece of paper. It actually had legal tender built into it. A lot of people don't know that either. The Treasury Department at one point issued silver notes, silver Treasury notes, and things like that. Over time, our money got eroded. It used to be that you would hold a dime or a quarter, and it would be made entirely of silver, or at least as pure as it could be, because sometimes you can't always get it to be perfectly pure. But over time, if you've noticed, looking at the side of a nickel, well, maybe not nickel as much because they typically are just nickel and aluminum probably today, dimes and quarters. If you look at any quarter or dime from 1964 or before, the entire thing is silver, and you could look on the side of it and see that it's a solid color of silver. But if you look at quarters and dimes today, you will see a line running through the side of them. That indicates that it has copper and nickel and other elements infused into it. And to today's standards, I think that there's 0% silver in any of those coins. So our money, even our coins, are literally not backed by gold or silver at all. And this is something that you can do yourself next time you are out, or whatever. If you happen to come across a dime or quarter or whatever coin from 1964 or earlier, you can take a look at the side and see the difference between a modern day one. And if you feel the difference now, you can actually feel that they weigh less, they feel less strong and durable. It's because the materials have gotten cheaper. They're cutting costs by getting the cheapest materials possible to make these things. And in that case, there's really no difference between a quarter and a token you would get in an arcade to play arcade games, right? It's basically just a piece of aluminum with some copper infused. Maybe some nickel is infused in there if you get lucky as well. But it's pretty much just the cheapest materials we could possibly get, not backed by gold or silver. So it really is very dishonest to the American people because their money has been devalued. And I'll try and do more of this in future episodes, especially if we get more into financial system in this country and business and things like that. I want to do more of these, financial education topics. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, but I just am able to hopefully give you the information that maybe you didn't know or point you in the right direction to where you can learn this stuff. But now I think we're finally going to get to the bottom of this. I think that Rand Paul is calling for Elon and Doge to audit Fort Knox and take a look and see if the gold is in there. And if it's not, America has a huge problem because we've been going off a lie for all these years that we are able to back the money, the paper dollars, with gold reserves. If we don't have them, then there's nothing backing the money. That could be catastrophic. That could actually devalue the money even further in one day, if that's proven to be true. So we're going to see how this unfolds, buddy. If Doge actually goes through with it, this may be a big breaking news moment where the American people finally get to peek behind the curtain and realize that they've been duped for a long time. And then it brings the question, where did all the gold go? Who has it? Who stole it? So we're going to take a look at this video of Rand Paul on Fox News talking about this.
All right, so this morning to talk about going for the gold, Elon Musk and Doge setting their sights on the country's largest gold reserve, Fort Knox in Kentucky, as its own senator reveals that $425 billion of a gold supply doesn't even get a yearly review. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul joins us now. So, Senator, I didn't know it was that much money there, and I was even more surprised that there's been no review.
Well, I've been trying to go down, see the gold, and make sure it's all there for about 10 years. During the first Trump administration, I got permission. You have to get permission all the way up to the Secretary of Treasury. And then the Secretary of Treasury said, well, I want to go down there too. And then he said, I want to go down there when the eclipse is coming through Kentucky too, so I can see the eclipse and the gold at the same time. But they came when I wasn't there. So I tried for 10 years. I set up the appointment. And then because they wanted to see the eclipse, they changed the appointment. I didn't get to go down. But the Secretary of Treasury and the senior senator from Kentucky did go down and attest that they believe they saw the gold down there.
So what do you think the problem is?
You know, I think some of them may not think it needs to be audited all the time, but I think the more sunlight, the better, more transparency, the better.
Yeah.
And also, it brings attention to the fact that gold still has value. And implicitly, not explicitly, but implicitly, gold still gives value to the dollar.
Yeah.
That's why we don't get rid of it. You know, we've got it. The IMF has it. The World Bank has it. Most of the central banks around the world have gold. And it's an implicit trust that the dollar still has some backing.
So, Senator, I want to switch gears with you. I want to talk about since we're talking about money, the GOP budget resolution that is apparently in jeopardy over concern from the moderates as well as Democrats about the budget. Talk about it. I mean, you are your father's son. And so I know you've had these objections to it. What are they now?
Well, this year, the deficit's going to be $2.2 trillion. In March, both parties will come back and probably spend $300 billion more in California for wildfires, and it will be borrowed, not paid for. We just spent another $100 billion in North Carolina. It never seems to end, and we don't borrow it. So what I would say is for border, if you want money for the border, take it from somewhere else in the budget, but let's don't have a new spending bill. So this budget is setting up a new spending bill, and ultimately this year there'll be a $2.2 trillion, and people will be scratching their heads saying, what about all the cuts? What about all the things? The Doge committee, Elon Musk has found billions of dollars. The way you save money, and it has to be done, is they send it back to Congress in something called a rescission package, and then we vote on it with a simple majority. So Republicans alone can cut the spending that Doge is finding, but they're doing a great job, and they're going through it with rapidity, but it's got to come back to Congress. If I started seeing that, I might be more inclined to go along with them.
I'm almost out of time, but I got to quickly ask you, why aren't you in the room? Because as I've said, you haven't changed your position. You're still reasonable, though. You understand you're not going to get everything. I believe your support of a bill will get some of the folks in the House. You'll get Chip Roy, you'll get Thomas Masse's support if you were involved in the negotiation. So I think Thune has been doing a fairly good job compared to McConnell. But why haven't you been involved with the negotiation?
I've told the negotiators from the very beginning, if they want my vote, they have to talk to me about the numbers. They have to be believable numbers, and we have to adhere to them. If the numbers in the budget resolution will be adhered to by the Appropriations Committee, I could be inclined to support the budget. But so far, I've seen no indication. For example, there's $1 trillion difference between the budget document and what we're going to spend this year. So it becomes a fiction. And if it's not honest accounting and they're not honestly going to do it, I don't want to vote for a rubber stamp that actually leads to increased spending.
I think that's fair. Hopefully they bring you in, because I think some good can be done. Sir, thanks so much for giving us some time this morning.
So the problem with this lies in that the government keeps printing our money. So it's devaluing it, because the more, it's basic economics, right? Supply and demand, and that includes money too. The more money you have on the market to spend, the less valuable the money becomes, because it's more plentiful, right? That's basic economics, supply and demand. But on top of that, if this whole time we're devaluing the money, and it turns out that what it was backed by is not even available, it's not there anymore, it makes it, the dollars, the paper dollars that we hold, completely irrelevant, right? The whole idea behind it is that we're holding this piece of paper knowing that it's backed by something behind closed doors, that if we ever had to go to that reserve and cash in on it for whatever reason to bail this country out, we are able to do that. So we keep on living our lives and going, with our daily activities, knowing that the money still has value at some level. Even though it's devalued, it still has value at some level, because we have a reserve waiting for us if we ever needed to cash in on that. And if you look, the price of gold keeps going up. It goes up year over year typically, and has been going up since the late 1800s. When we started doing all this stuff with printing money and making paper money currency or legal tender in this country, which it's not really by the Constitution, and the people can decide to, change that anytime they want by putting pressure on the government to restore the things back to the gold standard. But we keep going on with our daily lives and accepting this money as currency, as tender, because we believe subconsciously that it's at least backed by something somewhere. Somebody's holding a reserve. It would be like if I say I have money in my bank account and I'm going to write you a piece of paper now that says I owe you. Now, the paper itself is not worth anything, but you know I have money in my bank account. As soon as I get to the bank or an ATM, I'm going to give you that money to pay up the IOU. Right now, you're holding a piece of paper that says I owe you. And it's not garbage to you. You're going to put it in your wallet or pocket or something and hold on to it because you're waiting to get paid. And it's basically like a receipt for a transaction. You're holding that, an invoice really, saying, I am going to keep this. And then the minute you come up with the money, I'm going to trade you this for the money, or I'm going to at least show you this and you're going to give me the money, right? It's the same thing with an invoice from a company or a bill or something, right? You get your phone bill. That bill is basically saying you owe us this much money and this piece of paper proves it, and we're waiting for you to pay up on that. It's a similar concept. You're going to hold that IOU, even though it's just a piece of paper, because you know that there's reserves in the bank. And if all of a sudden one day you went to the bank with me and it turns out my account was empty, that paper automatically becomes worthless to you because you were going on the belief that I had something in my bank account waiting for you. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I'm not saying that there's no gold in the reserve. I'm just saying that if it happens to not be there, that could be catastrophic to the US dollar and to all the world currencies because they're all tied to the US dollar. We are the reserve currency for the world. So that could have a huge negative impact. The next question would be, well, if the gold's not there, where did it go? Who has it? And who stole it from the American people? That could open up a can of worms that would be a huge shift in the government and definitely, probably take over the news for weeks until we figure out and get to the bottom of this. But we're going to see what happens with this. We're going to see how everything unfolds. Hopefully Doge does go through with it. Like Rand Paul said, they do need some approvals from the Treasury Department and things like that. But just think about how immature some of the people in government are. He was saying that there was a person from the Treasury Department that wanted to come down to see the gold reserve, do the audit with him, but he also wanted to see the eclipse. So he decided to go do that and reschedule the, seeing the gold. Well, which one's more important? Seeing the moon, cover the sun in the sky, which happens several times in a person's life, or making sure that the reserve that protects the people's money and really the whole world's money is where it's supposed to be. I mean, that's just the level of immaturity that our politicians, that they are at this point in life. Like I said in previous videos, it seems more like we're headed towards a world of idiocracy. If you haven't seen that movie, check out Idiocracy. Than it does that we're moving to a future where, there's this group of terminators and, people controlling them and all that stuff. I feel like the people in power don't actually display that now. So how would they in the future? Things typically tend to go in the direction that they're already going because of momentum, right? If people are getting dumber, they don't just all of a sudden get smarter without taking action and changing things. They will just keep sliding down that hill and getting dumber and dumber and dumber until somebody does something about it. So if this is the mentality of politicians that they would rather go see, the eclipse like a child, than go check and make sure that the people's money is there, I think we have bigger problems as a nation, culturally and intellectually than probably many other problems that we have. So that is what's going on with that. We're going to continue to monitor it and monitor Doge to see what they end up doing, but hopefully they get to the bottom of this. All right, well, that was just a quick video for today. Just wanted to go over that because I think it's big breaking news. It's one of the most important things that's going on right now, especially with Doge. And just wanted to give a little bit of back history with Ron Paul and all of that and how that's tied in together. Hopefully, like I said, this will hopefully be a prophecy fulfilled, something that Ron Paul had talked about many, many years ago, and that the American people, some of them, have been wanting to finally get to the bottom of this. Hopefully it will come true and we will get to actually see the audit. I saw somebody on social media say that Elon Musk should live stream it. So that would be interesting too, to give people real time, not just go by his word. But either way, this is something that is long overdue, definitely needs to happen. And hopefully it does. Hopefully the government does not block him from, doing this, or certain people in the government, specifically the Democrats, maybe some of the rhinos. But let's see how this unfolds. We're going to keep an eye on this and maybe do a follow-up video. But that's it for this one. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Keeps the channel growing, like I always say. And definitely, comment things about this video that you liked, you didn't like, whatever. It's all welcome here. Also, put in the comments, future videos you'd like us to do, topics you'd like me to talk about, whatever it is. But also, don't forget to check the end of this video. We have an Amazon storefront, a lot of great products there, things that we actually use in our lives. Discount codes should be available through the links in my bio. And don't forget to check out my children's book, on sale right now, Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookstores throughout the country. You can actually find that information on my Instagram to see which ones may be located near you that are carrying the book. But a lot of great stuff there. We also have an apparel shop too. Percentage of the profits go to charities. So it's a lot of like faith-based type apparel, but there are some other things in there as well. Check that out. All the links are going to be below, and in the bios and all my social media channels. So check that stuff out. And that's it for this video. Stay tuned for the next one. All right, everybody, I just want to take a moment to promote my children's book. This is Little Boy Full of Love. That's me on the back. And this is a little sneak peek on the inside. It's a great book. It's a children's book. I actually wrote this for my son, and it's available right now on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, bookshop.org, and a lot of other online platforms. But more importantly to me, it's actually available in a lot of bookstores throughout the country. You can find out which ones are closest to you on my Instagram page. We highly recommend that you shop local, buy from a local bookstore. So if you are looking to, get a children's book for you or anybody you know, or even with the holidays coming up, it's a great time to, buy a children's book as a gift. Definitely get it from a bookstore that's local to you. But if you absolutely can't get it from one of the bookstores that are currently carrying it right now, and we're in about 15 or 16 different states across the country, so it may actually be in your state, and it could even be local to you. But if you can't get it from the physical bookstore, check out our Amazon storefront. The book's available on there right now. And like I said, with the holidays coming up, you may want to do your Christmas or Hanukkah or holiday shopping early, and you can even order it from our Amazon storefront and ship it directly to whoever you're gifting it to. But it's available on those platforms, Amazon storefront and bookstores and other websites that I mentioned. But I want to take a moment here to look at the storefront just to give you an idea of some other stuff that we have available on there. These are products that we highly recommend. They are things that we use in our daily lives, and it's all organized by category. So it's a lot easier to, shop for the holidays and specifically for things that interest you, particular categories. Available right now, many different items on our storefront. If you can see here, 61 items just in women's apparel, fall decor, because right now we're in fall, 26 items, kitchen items, baking specifically, things for around the house, children's toys, even stuff for parties. If you're trying to save money on a party and throwing your own, occasion, you can even buy some cool gadgets here to help you, put on a better party. Health and wellness items here, even stuff for Christmas. And there's the book right there. So you can get it from the storefront. You can get it from the bookstores, like I mentioned. But it's available on all these different platforms. It's really easy to find and gift to somebody. Also, I want to show you the apparel shop, and these are some clothing items that we actually produced. So if you're looking to get some cool apparel items, shirts, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, leggings, even accessories, cell phone cases, women's makeup bags, fanny packs, coffee mugs, all different types of stuff, even some, art, all different categories here, apparel, homeware, accessories, drinks, even digital items. It's all on this store, healthybodygoodssoul.com. Anything that pertains to you or somebody that you're looking to get a gift for the holidays. A lot of great designs on here, a lot of cool designs that we actually custom created. Stainless steel water bottles, especially now with the fall and winter. A lot of cool hoodies and long sleeve shirts. This is a really cool one, I think, for women. The original Be Your Soul apparel, that one's actually really popular. People tend to like that. This one's one of my favorites. The free shirt. It's the American flag and it says free and that says not property of the United States government. That one's pretty cool. Got all different types of tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, tote bags, coffee mugs, even some items for kids, backpacks. So if you're the type that likes to, plan ahead, I would definitely recommend ordering from the Amazon storefront or the apparel shop within the next couple of weeks to get everything in time for the holidays. Use code SAVE15 on the apparel shop to save 15% off everything on the storefront. So order within the next week or two and you'll definitely have everything in time for the holidays. Definitely check out all the links to everything, the Amazon storefront, the book, and the apparel shop in my bio on all my platforms, Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. But you can also find them in all the show notes for every episode that I post and get all your orders in time for the holidays. All right, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It helps the channel continue to grow. And put in the comments things that you would like me to talk about and make videos on for the future. And I will definitely do my best to do that. Stay tuned for the next one.